Welcome to Research Like a Pro with DNA, our question and answer series. Today's question is, if I know how a DNA match is related, do I still need to contact them? Typically, when we assess DNA matches, we start by reviewing the amount of shared DNA. Then we calculate possible relationships with the Shared Centimorgan Project tool. The next step is to compare pedigrees to find our common ancestor. But if their pedigree is not available, then sometimes we have to do the final step, which is to contact the match to find out their parents' and grandparents' names and see if we can build their tree and find the common ancestor. So if you followed those steps and you figured out their relationship, that's great. Maybe their family tree was connected to their account and you found the common ancestor in both of your trees. You have looked at shared matches and the shared matches are pointing to the right side of the family that you found the common ancestor on, and the amount of shared DNA matches up with the relationship found in the trees. At this point, is there any reason to contact that person, that DNA match? What would be the advantage to doing that? Yes, there are many reasons to contact your DNA matches. Let's go over a few of them. One reason you may want to contact one of your DNA matches, even when you know the relationship with them, is to collaborate and share photos, share stories, discuss shared ancestors, and learn from each other. And there's a lot of advantages to doing this, and you may discover a story about your ancestor that you had never heard before. Another reason to contact a match is if they have an unlinked tree. So you may have opened their family tree and found an ancestor that's in their tree and in your tree, but there is a warning here from Ancestry, and it says this DNA match has unlinked trees, but they may not appear in any of them. So the problem with an unlinked tree is that we don't know where they are in the tree to figure out the exact relationship. And especially if they're using their initials, like this one was MA, and I don't know, in the tree it's just shown as a private person. How do I know who they are? Are they, the grandchild of the common ancestor, the great-grandchild? Is this their, maybe this is the DNA results of a cousin or an aunt or uncle. So if it's not linked to the exact position in the tree, then we might have the wrong relationship. We might have the right common ancestor or the right line of the family, but we're missing some details there. So that's a good opportunity to go ahead and send a message to the DNA match and just ask them, look, I see this in your tree. Is this where our common ancestry is? And what is, your path to the common ancestor? Are we third cousins? Are we half second cousins once removed? What's the relationship? Another reason to contact a DNA match is to ask them for help with the documentation of parent-child links for their line. So you can ask them questions about their line of descent from the common ancestor. And you have probably researched your line back to that ancestor, but maybe you haven't had a lot of opportunity to look for sources and citations and things for their line of descent. Which child did they come through? And, maybe you have some questions about that. One time I was researching a line of a DNA match in their tree, and I noticed that the woman's surname was passed on to the child instead of her husband's. And so I reached out and asked, why does this look this way in your tree? It doesn't seem, like normal. And she said, oh, this was a polygamous family in Tennessee, and the man was married to more than one woman, but they kept it secret, and the woman was the second wife, so she used her own surname and passed that on to her children. So that was really helpful to get that information because it wasn't preserved in any historical records that I could find, and that was a conflict in my proof argument that I needed to resolve. So contacting the match helped me figure that out. Another reason is just to receive that person's knowledge about their branch of the family, and maybe they have some information that will help you and find more test takers, find more matches, just to broaden your information that you know about that side. And then, of course, to document their line of descent. Working with another person can often speed up the process of finding all of the sources that document their line of descent in each parent-child link. So it might make it more efficient for you to work together with them rather than do it all yourself. Another reason to contact a DNA match who you already know the relationship to is to ask permission to use their DNA match information. So if you are just starting a research project and you're hoping to find the parents of an ancestor and hopefully write a proof argument at the end of your research, it's a good idea to establish relationships with your DNA matches toward the beginning of your project, because it does take some time for some people to respond to messages or to see the messages. So the sooner you can message them and get started with that process, the better. And a good thing to send them is your email address. Let them know what you're working on, offer to share your report or proof argument with them, and then after you've done that and they've responded, by the time you're done with your research project and you're writing the proof argument, you can ask permission to include their DNA match information and their line of descent from the common ancestral couple in the proof argument, and enable you to share that proof argument with your relatives and even publish it or post it online. If you don't have their permission, then you might have a harder time including all the DNA evidence that you need in your publication. One of my favorite reasons to start messaging with matches is to ask them to share their DNA results at Ancestry. When you're researching distant ancestors, it requires additional base test takers. And by base test takers, I just mean people who have shared their DNA results with you so that you can see their matches as well. Some people call this managing kits or being able to view other people's DNA kits. So you don't have to be the manager. You can just ask them to be a viewer or a collaborator. That works as well. You can see their DNA results and their matches that way too. So the reason this is great is because those who have already tested their DNA at Ancestry are easier than new test takers to add to your base, because they've already taken the test and all they have to do if they want to share with you is follow a few quick steps. And I usually send them the link to the Ancestry support page about how to share their matches, and I give them my username so that they know who to share with. So all they have to do is follow these short steps that are listed on the Ancestry support page, and that kind of adds validity to the request if Ancestry shows you exactly how to do it on their own support page. So I've had a lot of success asking for other relatives, third cousins, second cousins, even up to fourth and fifth cousins to share their DNA results with me and collaborate that way so that I can expand my amount of DNA evidence for researching more distant ancestors. You can do a similar type of thing at 23andMe. So to establish a sharing connection at 23andMe, you can click on the connect button, and that will allow the person to share their full name with you, their detailed ancestry reports, matching DNA segments, and then you can collaborate together and figure out more information about your relationship. Some people have opted into open sharing, and so these things are already automatically shared with everyone in the DNA relatives list, but some people have not, and so you need to click on the connect button to get that information shared. And when you do click that connect button, it opens this pop-up that you can add a personal note to, which is recommended. So if you haven't already messaged that DNA match, then it's a good idea to send them a personal note along with the invitation to connect. And this is just a way to kind of say, we're probably related on my mom's side, here's some of my surnames, and just kind of let them know that you're doing this to research your family history and find your shared ancestors. You might want to ask your matches to upload to other sites or test at other sites. For example, you might need segment data if you're only working with Ancestry, or you might need more matches if you're only working with family tree DNA. More DNA evidence can help you complete your proof argument, and each site has different advantages. For example, if you are looking for more matches, you might need to go to a larger database like Ancestry or 23andMe. Or if you need segment data, you'll need to ask your matches to upload to MyHeritage or Family Tree DNA or GEDmatch, or test at 23andMe, which doesn't allow uploads. If you're looking for triangulation information, then MyHeritage or GEDmatch or 23andMe are good databases. For family trees and through lines, Ancestry is unbeatable in that area. For X matches, you can only find that information at 23andMe, GEDmatch, or Family Tree DNA. And if you're looking for European matches, then you'll want to try Living DNA or MyHeritage. And lastly, if you're writing a proof argument and you would like to have verifiable data that others can go and review, you'll need to ask your matches to upload their raw data to GEDmatch to compare there. The takeaways from this video are that messaging a match now can help you if you need to ask them permission later to be included in your proof argument. Also, collaboration with matches makes your research more accurate and efficient as you're working to document the parent-child links in their line. When matches share results with you, it can add more DNA evidence to your project. And lastly, asking matches to test or upload at another site can help you get additional DNA evidence.